During the 1970s, a wave of fear swept across the United States as dozens of young women began to vanish without a trace. The disappearances were baffling, leaving families shattered and police forces scrambling for answers. The main suspect, however, wasn't some shadowy figure lurking in dark alleys. He was a man hiding in plain sight, a handsome, intelligent law student, often described by those who knew him as polite, charming, and completely ordinary. This juxtaposition between his public persona and his secret life would eventually make him a subject of fascination and horror. His name was Ted Bundy. Over the decades, he has become one of the most infamous and intensely analyzed criminals in American history. What makes his case so deeply disturbing isn't just the sheer brutality of his crimes, but the incredible effectiveness with which he deceived everyone around him. He was a master of manipulation, living a double life so convincingly that even his closest friends and family had no idea of the monster he truly was. Bundy's story forces us to question how well we can ever really know someone, and it highlights the terrifying reality that evil can wear a very normal, even attractive, face. Theodore Robert Bundy was born in 1946 in Burlington, Vermont. His early life was shrouded in a significant family secret that would later be scrutinized by psychologists trying to understand his psyche. For much of his childhood, he believed his mother was his older sister and that his grandparents were his parents. This was a common practice at the time to hide the stigma of an out-of-wedlock birth. The truth was only revealed to him later in his youth. This early deception, this foundational lie at the heart of his family structure, is often cited as a potential contributing factor to his later psychological development, possibly fueling a deep-seated resentment and a fractured sense of identity. In school and college, Bundy presented a complex and often contradictory personality. He was academically bright and generally considered intelligent, yet he was often described as socially reserved and somewhat awkward. He struggled to fit in and form deep, meaningful connections. However, when the situation called for it, he could effortlessly switch on his charm, becoming articulate, persuasive, and engaging. There were no early, glaring red flags in his official records, no history of severe violence or major disciplinary problems that would predict the horrors to come. To the outside world, he was just an ordinary young man navigating the challenges of growing up, showing no outward signs of the dark path he was already walking. As an adult, Bundy built a life that looked respectable and promising from the outside. He earned a psychology degree from the University of Washington and was later accepted into law school in Utah. He held various jobs, maintained long-term romantic relationships, and was seen by friends, colleagues, and girlfriends as polite, helpful, and dependable. In a chilling twist of irony, he even volunteered at a suicide prevention hotline where he was tasked with counseling people in their darkest moments. He also dabbled in politics, actively participating in campaigns. This carefully constructed public image of a responsible, caring citizen wasn't just a mask. It became his most powerful weapon, allowing him to move through society without suspicion. The first signs of the terror to come began to surface in 1974. A disturbing pattern of disappearances started, with young women vanishing from communities in Washington, Oregon, and later Utah. These were not random attacks in secluded areas. Many of the victims disappeared from public places in broad daylight. Witnesses from various locations later recalled unsettling encounters with a charming man who often introduced himself as Ted. He frequently used the ruse to gain their trust, appearing injured with his arm in a sling or a leg in a fake cast. He would politely ask for help carrying books or loading items into his Volkswagen Beetle, preying on their kindness and compassion. As more women disappeared, investigators began to notice chilling similarities linking the cases. The victims were almost always young, attractive women, typically university students with long, dark hair parted in the middle. They were approached in public spaces like college campuses, shopping malls, and parks. At the time, the term serial killer was not a common part of the law enforcement vocabulary, and the idea that one person could be responsible for so many crimes across different states was a novel concept. Bundy's constant movement between Washington, Utah, and Colorado made it incredibly difficult for separate police departments to connect the dots and realize they were all hunting the same man. No one, not his friends, his girlfriend, his professors, or the police suspected that this ambitious, clean-cut law student was connected to a horrifying string of abductions and murders spanning multiple states. He was the wolf in sheep's clothing, and for a long time, his disguise was perfect. In the next episode of our series, we will delve deeper into the crimes themselves, examining the brutal pattern that emerged and the painstaking investigative work that slowly began to unravel. Ted Bundy, web of deceit, bringing law enforcement one step closer to catching a killer. Thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss it.